You guys may be sleeping on a potential new tech card from the new Dawn of Majesty set. What is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and in today's video, I'm coming at you guys with kind of a discussion on a tech card that I think could be useful in the future from the new Dawn of Majesty set that I think many people overlooked. So if you like this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, commenting, subscribing, because it really helps the channel out. But with that being said, let's just hop straight into it. So the card today I'm going to be talking about is Stall Turn. So what this card does, it is a counter trap that reads when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that negates the summon or the activation of a spell or trap card, banish 3 cards from the top of your deck face down, negate the activation, and if you do, shuffle that card into the deck. So why do I think this is a potential tech card? So its applications, put very simply, it's like a reactive card that gets rid of your opponent's, that negates your opponent's negates. Because essentially, it requires a card that to be activated that would negate something. So your opponent will be trying to attempt to negate one of your cards, be it a summon or the activation of a spell or trap card, which does make it a little worse than like a card like Solemn Strike, which can fulfill both the roles of like a reactive defense card, where like if you're going second, you can set it, strike a opponent's monster effect, or going first, you can strike the summon or something. Makes it a little worse than that, but with a card like Stall Turn, it essentially allows you to play around cards like Solemn Judgment, which Solemn Strike can't do because this can negate a spell or trap. You can play around cards, also play around cards that Strike would play around, so like you could negate monster negates, so like Borderlord Savage Dragon, Dragoon, or Herald of Ultimateness, which also like kind of brings me to like how the applications in the decks can be used against. So especially against a deck like Drytron, this is particularly good because of Herald of Ultimateness, which can negate summons, and the activations of spell or trap cards, which is really powerful. They usually put Dragoon in there as well, so this essentially can trade very well with one of those cards, just because it actually shuffles it into the deck, so it doesn't destroy it or anything. Your opponent, it doesn't care if it's like protected, like a card like Dragoon, where normally it's a card like Solemn Strike, if you strike its effect, it won't die, like you'll negate it, but it'll still be a threat on the board. Whereas this actually gets rid of the threat by shuffling it into the deck, and no one is playing a second copy of Red Eyes Fusion and Dark Magician. Just makes no sense. So what decks can this actually be used in? Well, in my opinion, this is pretty much exclusively for like those trap decks when they're going second only. So this is a very, very niche side card, but I think in the right circumstances, like let's say if you're playing like Trap Shaddolls or Eldritch or something and going second, you have power traps like Torrential Tribute, Dogmatic Punishment, board clearing trap cards that normally would just be negated by like the flurry of negates that your opponents has. But if you have a card like Torrential Tribute and their opponent negates, well, Stall Turn negates their negate, and then your Torrential Tribute resolves, and they can't respond to it because it's a counter trap, which is huge. Not to even mention that it's not even once per turn. It's not even once per turn, so that makes it really, really powerful. If you have multiples and for some reason like your opponent has multiple negates, you're able to just kind of clear it, even though one is more than enough usually, because you're going to be pairing it with one of your cards to kind of bait out their negates. So in comparison to similar cards like Solemn Strike, which like I mentioned before, it's pretty much it's kind of a quote-unquote Solemn Strike for going second, like trap decks, essentially. It's another form of Solemn Strike. Also, it's a little better than the Divine Wrath, in my opinion. Divine Wrath is, I believe it reads, you can negate the activation of a monster effect by discarding a card and destroying it. So it's like a strike, but you discard a card instead of paying 1500 life points, which is also the last thing I want to mention about this card. The cost on this card to banish face 3 face down, I don't think that cost is particularly taxing compared to something like life points, which can add up if you're playing multiple Solemns. If you're playing a control deck, the life points really matter because the combo deck's gonna be trying to kill you as fast as possible, so you just make the job easier for them. Banishing 3 from the top of your deck usually won't be relevant unless you play a bunch of one-ofs. If you get unlucky, banish a really important one-off, sure, but like most of the time, the top 3 cards just don't really matter. So that's just pretty much going to do it for my discussion of this card. Let me know what you guys think in the description below. Do you think this card has potential, and what other applications could you see that I didn't think of? Like I said before, it's really good at negating like those hard negates. So even in a deck like against a deck like Altergeist, which isn't a combo matchup, well, they have cards like Hextia and like Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, stuff like that. They play a bunch of traps and the Hextia effect that negates. So this can be really, really good at getting rid of them. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and with that, I will see you guys soon. Take care.